Greetings and felicitation once again, fellow modelers. Welcome to my humble part of the galaxy. Come in, have a seat, warm your feet by the ion generator. Okay, this is movie 4 in what started out to be one long movie. I started looking at it and edited it a couple of times, and I was like, it's just way too long, so I broke it up into 3 movies initially. Now I'm breaking it up into 4. It's just way too long. Nobody wants to sit for an hour and a half and listen to anybody prattle on about models. So I broke it up into bite-sized pieces, and this is movie 4. I hope you've enjoyed the 3 previous movies. I hope you get something out of this. Since the last movie, I've got several questions about electronics. Okay, I promise you, I'm going to do my very best to help you guys that are struggling with electronics build your own circuits. I'm going to break down the circuit components, explain why things work the way they do briefly, and I'm going to show you how to build circuits. I'm also going to provide some basic circuits for you. I'm going to touch on series circuits, parallel circuits, series parallel circuits, flasher circuits, chaser circuits, fader circuits, and these are the core and the heart of virtually every circuit that is used inside of these starships, as far as flashers, blinkers, phasers, you name it. This stuff is not that complicated. The people that are selling you these kits are telling you it's complicated. That's why you have to pay $150 for a $50 handful of, or a 50-cent handful of parts. A couple of IC chips, some resistors, a capacitor, and it's just ridiculous. I happen to know what I'm talking about because I have a degree in this stuff, although some people will scoff at that. Such is life. I give you my word. I'm going to do my best to help you guys get your own circuitry together. This movie is primarily about one ship, the standard 350th original series ship that's on the market now. My friend Scott and I tried to put out a ship for 7 years, and we caught no end of hell. So I feel like I've got every right in the world to give some constructive criticism about this ship. Now, I've been in the middle of 4 builds of this ship, and I gave one away to my friend John, who I worked with on the 50-inch refit. So I've seen 4 of these kits up close and personal, broke them down, started working on them, and I'm going to tell you the absolute truth about this kit. 1, there's a lot of cleanup. The sprue is very thick on most of these parts, I would imagine, because it had to be, having worked in injection molding at one point. But there's a lot of cleanup. You should know that in advance. 2, the grid lines are just way overdone. I have no idea. I remember when we were trying to put out a kit, people kept asking, are you going to have grid lines? Are you going to have grid lines? And I was like, no, there's no need for it. Again, people have to understand, when there were actual grid lines for the deflector grid lines on the upper and lower primary hull of the original series ship, it was done with a 5mm drafting pencil on an 11-foot model. Now, some of the same people that demanded that there be grid lines in this model were the same people that whined and complained and moaned about the grid lines on the surface of the 18-inch kit for decades. Now, I've been on the forums since, well, I was on the forums. I was on the internet before Al Gore invented it. I was on the internet when I was in the military ordering parts and supplies on board ship out at sea before it became the internet. Been on the bulletin boards since the 90s, before it became what it is today. So I've got a real good idea of what the Star Trek fans want. At least I like to think so, having been one for, I don't know, about 40 years now, or 40 plus years. Wow, I hate to even think. Anyway, back to the ship. Now there are some mistakes in the directions, some mistakes in the paint guide, and I'll show some pictures after the credits exactly what I mean. Considering that Polar Lights Round 2 had access to everything Paramount had on this ship, I can't understand the mistakes. I really can't. Besides the cleanup and the grid lines, which take a lot of puttying and sanding and filling and painting and priming, which just gets really tedious after a while, there are some major fit issues, or at least on every ship that I've had, but one. Every ship that's come through here, 3 out of 4, was loose in the connections between the pylon and the engineering hull, the pylon and the nacelles. Now, in the last video I made a mistake. I misspoke and I called a nacelle a pylon. That doesn't mean I'm stupid, it just means I misspoke. Trust me, I know what the parts of this ship are. The main problem with warpage is in the pylons in the engineering hull. I haven't had any issues so far with the primary hull, or the neck for that matter, but the engineering hull and the pylons seem to be warped. I'll show you in the video. In fact, I've already made that part of the video. There are no clear parts for the shuttle bay and the bridge, for lighting the bridge and the shuttle bay, which I think should have been part of every kit. I mean, come on. Another drawback about this ship is, to allegedly do it properly, you have to purchase a lot of ancillary items that, I don't know, some of them I really think should have been included. You have to buy the weathering decal unless you know how to or are going to weather it yourself. That's something I cover in the video. You have to buy the extra kit parts to be able to do either one of the pilot episodes, Enterprise ships. You have to buy brass etch to get the perfect little grill pieces and whatnot. You have to buy their lighting kit for $100 and a quarter, $100 and a half, which I think is a bit excessive considering the contents of the package, and that's coming from an engineering standpoint. And you have to buy a couple other miscellaneous things to do this ship the way it really looks good and looks like you see it on screen. Having said all that, when you total all this up, you're looking at about $500 worth of parts and ancillary items after you drop $100 and a quarter, $100 and a half on the ship. Thank God I can do my own work, because I'm not about to pay that kind of money for a bunch of Mickey Mouse ancillary things to do this, that, or another thing. But I understand the people that want to build different types of appropriate ships, one of each, say, the first pilot, second pilot, production version. I can see that. I understand fans wanting to be able to do that. I'm just glad that I'm not subject to that kind of thing at this point. And that's why I'm coming to you with these videos, to show you how to do your own thing. I caught a lot of heat for a lot of years when I tried to do this on the forums. The Garage Kit community came out of the woodwork and attacked me en masse as soon as I said I was going to make a kit, because I wasn't part of the approved echelon or the approved group, or I didn't pay homage or kiss boots or whatever to the right bunch of people. I just decided I was going to do it, and that really upset the apple cart. So now that I can do these videos, I'm going to show you how to make your own stuff. That's what this whole series of videos has been about. the stuff you need, how to do it cheaply and effectively, and how to get some really good looking ships. Now, for those of you that are far more talented than I am, you don't need to watch these things because you already know everything. And to those that know everything, I'm like, hey man, more power to you. But to the rest of us guys that are learning from each other, that's what this is for. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. I'm sorry to be so long-winded. I kept all of this out of the previous videos because I wanted to do a summation at the end when I decided to chop these up. So this is what you're going to get from me for the next, I don't know, however many years. I'm going to show you everything I can for you to be able to do what you want to do or what you need to do to make your models look the best you can possibly make them, without having to depend on people that are going to charge you big sums of money for simple things. All right, you guys take care and keep on trekking. There will be a summation at the end of this. I hope people have fun. I hope you get something out of one of these movies. If somebody learns something out of one of these movies, I've accomplished my job. Take care. I'll catch you later. I'm out of here. And here we have the standard 350 TOS Enterprise kit. No Premier, no nothing, standard kit. But I think it's probably the best value just to get the standard kit and work it the best you can with what's available. Sorry. Now, I talked about pastels earlier. All of this weathering was done with pastels. Now, thus far, I only did the leading edge portion because that should be the only portion that is going to get this much damage. I mean, we do have deflector grids, right? Deflector shields and all that. Shields up. So you shouldn't be getting that much damage. So I went subtle. Now, if my friend wants more work done on it, I'll oblige him. Now, here's the highly detailed little bridge. Don't know what it'll show. The engineering hull. Now I'm going to paint this copper. This ring is going to be painted copper. The lower primary hull is almost totally done, except for the addition of some detail here and over here. Now, I've already done a light test on this and it's looking pretty. I'm building this for a friend and he wants it the way he wants it, and I'm building it the way he wants it. Now, I've cast up some of these small hemispheres in clear because I always thought they were lit. Back in the day when I watched it, I thought there was light coming out. Now, in case he doesn't want that, I've cast these up in white resin and painted them with pearl. Now they really look good. They really look good. I don't think the camera's really getting the pearl. Okay, and here's the Impulse engine. Now I've got some actual lenticular material that I've been cutting up and making and using that instead of the decal that comes with it. It's going to make for a nice effect. Now, as you can see here, that most of the decals have been applied. Everything's painted. I'm about 95% done with this. The rest is going to be stuffing it full of electronics, sealing it up, and doing finish work on it. I will say this was a lot easier kit to build than that friggin' Polar Lights refit. Oh my God. Difference between night and day. Anyway, for the price, I think this is the best deal. You get a relatively accurate kit, and yes, there are some flaws. There's a lot of cleanup. Cleaning up all the sprue from the nacelles, the pylons, the upper and lower primary hull. A lot of cleanup. All in all, good kit. All right, folks, here we are at the end of the series of 4 videos. Whew. Now, I actually did all this in about 3 days. I filmed everything in 3 days. And I've edited a lot out because I just don't want to go off on tangents about anything and get lost in the weeds. I want to deal with the work, the process, and the application of different things. I've tried to cover a lot of material in 4 short videos. I've covered a lot of different items as far as basic electronics, kit reviews, some fiberglass, some scratch building, kit bashing, tools, supplies, parts, equipment, nomenclature, yada yada yada. Okay? Now, I've been on the forum since this morning, since the introduction, and I've talked to some guys online that said they didn't have the same problems with the fit issues. So take it for whatever it's worth. You know, this is what I'm dealing with. I can only tell you what I'm dealing with. Now, I have worked in mass production. In fact, I worked on a robotic line where I did all sorts of maintenance, setup, precision work, robotics, you name it. And I know that one lot will differ from another lot. That's just a fact. Things change from day to day. Tools wear down. They have to be replaced. The line has to be adjusted. Shims have to be added or taken away. That's part of mass production. Having said that, all I can deal with is what I've seen here. Now, like I said, 3 out of 4 kits have had the same issues. Having said that, the 4th kit that I opened, which I started on my ship last, because I've got clients and guys that want their work done now. I started on my ship last, and I found that it was tighter than any of the other previous ships. So there we are. The fact about the cleanup and the grid lines is just, it is what it is. I'm sorry. I think the cost is a little high, especially in the economy that we're living in right now. Sorry, that's my point of view. For something that's mass produced, that's styrene injection molding, I know what the cost is per unit on something like this. I've done this. I've done aluminum machining, injection molding, robotics. I've dealt with this kind of thing. So, I don't know. That's just my point of view. Take it or leave it. Now, I've promised to get into some electronics, and I promise you I am going to do that. Right now, I've got to get back on a refit build that I'm doing. Lance, I'm getting right back on your ship. By the time you see this movie, I'm already working on it. I've got to get back on a refit build. I've got to do some more molding and casting on the 50-inch refit, and I've got a couple other things. Within a couple of weeks, I'm going to be doing just electronics. I'm going to add electronics to 3 different ships. The Polar Lights refit, the standard original series ship, and the Premier kit. So, I'm going to make sure to include all of that. As soon as that's done, I'm going to go into a series of basic electronics movies. I'm going to show you how much these parts cost, show you about schematic diagrams, how to identify different parts in a schematic, how to make a schematic, how to set up a basic circuit and test it, the equipment that you're going to need, just like I did in the previous videos. Now, if you go back and look at some of my previous videos, I've covered some of this lightly before. I'm going to get more in depth later on. Today is the first day of 2014, so Happy New Year to everyone. I should have done that first. Happy New Year to everyone. I hope people are able to make 2014 a much better year than 2013. 2013's been a rough year, well, at least for me and just about everybody I know, the economy sucks. So, let's make the best of the new year. Let's do what we can to help each other out. I would like to say this. For everybody out there, Christians, atheists, Muslims, Jews, when you go grocery shopping, if you take one can of food every week, and you donate that can to your church, synagogue, charity, whatever, one can a week for everybody that sees these videos, you will help stop hunger here in America. We don't need the government to do it for us. We can do it ourselves. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Peace out. Trek on. Take care. Later.